Welcome everyone to another episode of Time for BL. This is the podcast where we review movies, TV shows, novels, and comics, all in the boys love genre. If you are as busy as me, or you feel too overwhelmed to move and you want to get back into reading, then I have the app for you. Audiobooks Now is a website that features great quality professional audiobooks from your favorite authors, where you can also discover new ones too. You get access to many fiction and nonfiction titles that you can download or stream and get great discounts on titles if you choose the membership. Use the link in the description to check out the titles in Audiobooks Now with 50% off your first club purchase. You can also download the app. I want to point out that I kind of called this down on myself. So I have the affiliation with Audiobooks Now. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be promoting them, I need to actually listen to some of the audiobooks on there. One of the first things I made sure to do before I even went through to getting the affiliation, I made sure that they had male romance available, and they do, and more. There's bisexual romance as well. And I was like, okay, cool. They have everything. They have books that I've been wanting to read, but I don't have the time to read, so I can just get the audiobook. But I decided I wanted to see what's on the cheaper side. For some people, spending $20 on a book is not necessarily something that they have the ability to do. So I was like, what can I get for less than $5? There's books on there for like cents, but this one I spent like $2 on, and I was like, let me see what I can get for $2. What is the quality of this piece? And it's not like it's Audiobooks Now who did the recording or paid, or wrote it or anything. No, they're just hosting it on their site. I just wanted to see what's available, and I found Soulmate for Sale, which is a part of the Omega series by Kian Rhodes. So Kian wanted to write, from everything I was reading about her, just wanted to write stories, and hey, why not male romance? And because they're a fan of shifters, so shifters are going to be like your werewolves and stuff, they wrote about shifters finding mates. Now, I did not finish reading this, or I should say I did not read the details of this book properly before I went ahead and purchased it. I just went ahead and purchased it, hit play, and I went, what the hell did I just bring myself into? Because I don't do MPreg, male pregnancy. I don't like, I watched Junior because I was a kid, and it had Arnold Schwarzenegger, and go get to the chopper. So why not? I shouldn't watch that either as a child, should I? And I just wanted to see what is out there on audiobooks now for the male romance fans. So I'm going to start with this one because it's on the cheaper side, and I think I also want to make sure I review something that is a little pricier as well, just to give the comparison, even though the comparison is really going to be on the audiobooks and what like the production was on it, which is basically what the production company or the author themselves could have afforded to get. This one isn't of a high production value, And I need to go ahead and make a quick correction. I actually bought it for $4. I knew it was less than $5. So $4.90. So basically right at $5. And this one, the narrator is Alexander Collins. It was published in 2018 and it's under the genre of romance. Where do I start with this? So it follows Trevor, who is an Omega, and Clint, who is an Alpha. So Omegas are people who have the ability to get pregnant for Alphas. I wasn't really sure on that because they made it clear that Betas can get pregnant as well. So I was like, so why do we need Omegas? Exactly, but I guess like Omegas are considered higher value and their children are considered higher value as well. So you want an Omega, I guess, because Clint, he needs to purchase an Omega from the auction for breeding. He needs one for breeding. His twin brother Colt has children with Betas, does not have an Omega, and yeah, they're really there for Clint to find someone for breeding. They meet Trevor. Now, Trevor is very special because he's a human Omega, which is very rare. Usually, Omegas, the ones that are more readily available are wolves, they have dragons, and then they said there's other types of shifters. They don't really go into the details of what other types of shifters exist in this world. But yeah, he feels this connection to the human Trevor after meeting him, loves his honesty. When Trevor explains that he's never had a heat. So he was purchased by his Alpha at 18 years old, and he's never had a heat, so he's never been able to get pregnant for this Alpha. And because the Alpha has now found a new female Omega that he has impregnated, he is getting rid of the worthless one to earn money for his group clan that he oversees. And one of the reasons why his clan doesn't really have a lot of money, I don't like the word, but oh well, his group doesn't have the money that they really need, is because he's kind of like outlawed education among his people. Women stay home and take care of everything, and the men are the ones who can go out and work. Most of them work like fast food jobs because they don't have the education or have the ability to seek higher education to look into anything else. And I was like, I don't even know if you can get a fast food job without some form of education. Can you? Like, don't they at least want to know if you went to high school? Are they allowed to go to high school? Like, how does that work? Anyway, he feels a lot of pity on Trevor because Trevor has been abused, okay, by his old Alpha. And Trevor, because he's never had a heat, believes that he's going to be purchased by like a breeding company that's just going to sell his eggs to Alphas who can put the egg, in whoever they want, whatever beta they want, and have someone else carry their children. So Trevor is surprised to find out that he has been purchased by Clint, and is actually kind of happy about it because he was honest with Clint, and Clint is not that a big business that's just going to sell his eggs. And Clint is aware that he's unable to have a heat, and is willing to just be like, yeah, we'll just use your eggs, and whoever is willing to have the child, they can have the child. You don't have to do anything for me in return. You can just be one of the members of my people. You just live among my people. So this is where the first issue comes in for me for this book. So they're at a point where they're talking about the fact that they're driving back, and it's like a 3-day drive to get back to his town. And instead instead of camping out, because their plan was just to camp and drive, they decide the best thing to do is just to do a straight shot, just drive all the way, because they have this human alpha and they're worried that they'll be attacked because of how rare he is. And we're basically being told, like, throughout the series how rare he is and the dangers that are there for him, and anything could happen. Someone could come and try and take him. It doesn't happen. Like, the entire drive back, I'm waiting for them to have to, like, kill someone to keep Trevor safe. And they get back to their town. That's basically it. That's basically it. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie though, I was still entertained by the book. I was still thoroughly entertained, to the point where I kept turning to Mr. Young and going, dude, guess what they just said? And he's just like, please, I don't want to hear any more about this book. I'm like, I want to make you listen to it. But it's really short. It's like a 2-hour book. When I looked it up, the book itself is just a novella, so it's a quick read if you want to find it and read it. But there is a whole series, the Omega Chronicles. It has about 17 books, and this one was the first book in the series, so I got to see where they started off, and it felt like it was starting off. I almost didn't. Okay, so when it got to the auction, like actually got to the auction, I already hated Clint because it's starting off with basically talking about human trafficking and sex slavery, basically. One of the things that Clint mentions in the story is that one of the Omegas, because he goes along reading their information, so he reads one's information and he turns and he's like, Omega, do you have a name? And they went, no. It's like, you're pregnant. I was sold because my alpha met someone else and they wanted me gone, so it was either to kill me and my baby or send me to the auction. So he sent me to the auction instead, and I was just like, ooh. Okay, I'll keep listening. Yeah, like, so the human trafficking definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. I did not know if I was going to continue, but I did. I stuck it out. I read the whole thing. Well, not read. I listened to the whole thing because it was an audiobook. Now, it did make me think, like, especially since this was the first one, maybe the rest of them are developed better, but I would just like to say the cover of the book, chef kiss. Ooh, the cover of the book is delicious. Oh, I saw the cover and I said, I have to listen to this because that cover made me go, this is going to be so bad. And I do believe, because it was like the first of the series that came out, I think that the writer had a lot of experimentation that they were doing. A lot of the story, it felt like it was added just because they suddenly thought of it. It's like there's even a whole thing where only certain shifters have the ability to have children without medical intervention, and not all shifters are born that way, which it probably could have been a better story, honestly, if we were just talking about not all shifters being born as shifters. But the way the story originally set up, it sounded like if you are born a shifter, you are a shifter. Because even Trevor is surprised to hear that there are shifters that can turn people into shifters. Like, even he's like, wait, you what? Really? Oh my gosh. Wow, really? Oh, interesting. Like, but a lot of the story, as I was reading it, it really just felt like a Wattpad story through most of it. Because I read some really bad Wattpad stories, And here's the thing, I do love reading bad stories. I find them fun. I read a really bad one that also involved werewolves and was also an MPreg and made me go, why am I reading this? But I finished it because I started it. And honestly, the writers are definitely different because the other one was worse. But like, it could have just been a Wattpad story. But hey, make your money, Kian. You made money off of me. I paid you for this. It's not a safe for work. It's very detailed sex scenes. Honestly, actually, the more I think about it, the more I think that the sex scenes were probably the best written parts of the story. I think a lot of focus went into writing that to make sure it was as realistic as possible or as sensual as possible. And that, I believe, was definitely a strong point of the writer. But like I said, this is the first book in the series. So with so many available, I do assume that a lot of the writing got better, a lot of the story got better, hopefully a lot of action added, because I really feel like what this story was missing was action. Maybe there was a word limit and that's why, but it definitely felt like this was missing action, something to keep it going, something to really keep me entertained and really enthralled in the whole thing, basically. So, if you want something that's very sexy, you want a story that's just about the sex scenes, you want to read about werewolves, if you like knots, I'm just gonna say it, if you like knots, this is the book for you. You should definitely read it. You're gonna love it. If you're looking for something that's deeper and more thought-provoking with action and drama and twists and turns, I would say check the rest of Kian Rhodes' catalog to see if maybe that happens eventually. But honestly, this one is not going to do that for you. This is more like just some light reading. Like I said, it's 2 hours. You'll finish that real quick. If you want to listen to the audiobook, it's something you can just throw on while you're, I don't know, doing dishes or out cleaning, whatever it is you do. I think this is just something that's really simple and easy for that. If you just want simple and easy and you don't want to have to follow along too hard in a story. But I would say definitely check to see if any other of Kian Rhodes' stories, be it in the Chronicles or anything else they've written, if that's going to have more of that deep, thought-provoking writing for you. For me personally, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. The story, really, those steamy scenes, those sexy scenes, were written well enough that I do believe it deserves a 4. But because of everything else in the story, it stays at a 4. I think it would have been like, out of 5 for sex scenes, out of 5 for story, it gets a 4. So it gets a 4 out of 10. I don't regret reading it, and I think that's a good sign. I'm not sitting here like, oh, why did I waste my money on that? Because there is something, because I did look at a couple different ones under $5, and I did buy a couple just to see what the story is like. And I regret the other one. The other one was way cheaper. Way cheaper. Maybe that's the one I spent $2 on, and that's where I got confused. Yeah, I think that's the one I spent $2 on. And I'm just like, I could have bought something else. That $2 could have gone to, I don't know, candy, like anything else. So I want to talk about a spoiler on the book, really. And it's really a spoiler because throughout the book, we see that Trevor is really worried about the fact that he can't have children. He even begs Clint. He says to Clint, Clint says to him, we don't even have to be in a relationship. This could just be, your home, and we can look at other ways for you to have children, or for us to harvest the eggs so that I can have children. You don't even have to be a parent to them. So Trevor makes it clear eventually as their relationship grows that he actually doesn't want to have children. So he asks if, hey, after you've picked out the betas that you want to impregnate with my eggs and your sperm, can I also get to keep one so that I can have a baby? And he's like, oh, well, if that's the case, like, we can have as many babies as you want. Like, we can keep all the babies. So in other words, you won't even have to use betas to implant the eggs. The implantation will be in him and everything as well. So it's that treatment that I totally forgot the name of right now, IVF. And I thought that was very sweet, and I wish it kind of ended there, except we get to a part where Trevor is calling Clint to tell Clint, I need you now, and it turns out he's been fixed. The reason why he never had a heat is because his old alpha wasn't strong enough to trigger the heat cycle in his body. But Clint is strong enough. Clint and his brother are both there, and they're both alphas, but Clint is his alpha. And Clint is strong enough to trigger that heat cycle, and Trevor is able to become pregnant. Yeah, I didn't like that. Not because I don't like Mpreg, but even if it was like a female character who all of a sudden she was able to become pregnant, like in Ice Planet Barbarians. It's like, why couldn't it be that they're in love no matter what? Like, why does it have to be that, oh, and you've been fixed? Why? And also, Trevor doesn't stay human. It's so much emphasis on the fact that he's a human Omega. He's a human Omega, and he doesn't stay a human Omega. In the end, he chooses to become a werewolf. I think it would have been stronger if he chose to stay human in the end. And you know, like, you guys are all wolves. You go do your wolf thing, but I like being human. And that's the end of that, you know? But yeah. That is Soulmate for Sale. Oh my gosh. Like, seriously, honestly, like, once I found out about the auction part of the story, like, again, I just did not read the description well enough. I was just like, okay, it's about two guys, Trevor and Clint. One's an Omega, one's an Alpha. Let me get this one. I'll do the werewolf thing. And the cover just made me go, I have to get this one because it looks like it's gonna be really bad. Voice acting honestly isn't horrible or anything like that. Definitely. I do wonder if they got him on Fiverr. No offense, Alexander Collins. Is that his name? Alexander Collins. No offense. And also Alexander. So Kian Rhodes has 2 books on audiobooks now. The other one is Buyer Beware, and it's another The Omega auction. And geez, like, my battery's low on my headphones. So even though I kind of want to get the next one as well, the fact that it's still about the Omega auction, because I just want to know, like, all right, where are you going with this? But at the same time, I'm like, no. But Alexander Collins voices that one as well. He does both of them. He's a narrator for both of them, and they both came out around the same time, so he probably like recorded them back to back. But those are the only 2 that are available on audiobooks now. I'm going to put the link for Soulmate for Sale in the description so you can check it out yourself. And yeah, you can check out Buyer Beware as well and see if that's something you wanna get. I say look it up to at least, or look at all of Kian Rhodes' books on there, because it's just the 2 that are on audiobooks now, and just see the covers. Because I'm telling you, the cover made me buy it, because I was like, what is this? I must check this out. Yeah, so hey, let me know what you think of Soulmate for Sale if you do get it to read for yourself or you listen to the audiobook as well. Let me know if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to hear a review of. I swear, if somebody goes, Enchante, are you gonna do Enchante or Not Me? You haven't talked about Not Me? Not Me has been out for a while. It has Off and Gun on it. They're really popular Thai actors. I know who Off and Gun are. I'm huge fans. I watched their little show that they did together. Or just sleepover. I love that show too. I love Jenny, and Jenny was on an episode, and that like definitely boosted me watching it because I love Jenny. She is awesome. So yeah, I know they exist. I know. So yeah, thank you so much for listening on whatever streaming platform you're using to listen, be it Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Anchor FM. Also, let me know if there's anything you would like me to review. That's also not one of the big ones that's out on GMM TV right now that everyone is talking about. Like, let's look for some obscure stuff too. Let's look for some stuff that no one's even heard of, or a few niche groups have heard of. Yeah, let's discover something new, which makes me go, I need to look to see what any of those small side companies are doing as well, to look for some new shows. And yes, I do like Love Me, Not Me. It's really good. Okay, let's go over that, please. All right, so I will see you guys next time when we make some more time for BL.